brought to you by Soundlibra.com. You can find a direct link to our full library in the description of this audio, or visit us anytime at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Write to Think. Let's explore how writing transforms the way you think. Before we jump in, a quick heads up that while we're discussing mental clarity, this isn't medical advice. Always consult a professional for mental health concerns.
And I'm Lisa. Alex, I'm so excited about this. My thoughts often feel jumbled, and I hope writing can help me catch them.
That's a common feeling, Lisa. We're going to show you how writing is a tool for everyone to clarify thinking, not just for authors.
So, it's not about grammar or perfect sentences.
Absolutely not. Think of your mind like a busy marketplace. Writing is a quiet corner where you can examine your thoughts one by one. It's about process, not product.
A quiet corner for thoughts. I like that. What does writing to think actually mean? Is it just journaling?
Journaling is part of it, but writing to think is broader. It uses writing to process information, solve problems, make decisions, and spark creativity. It's like laying out blueprints on a table to see the whole structure.
That makes sense. I replay things in my head and never feel clear. I'm stuck in a loop.
Precisely. Writing gives your thoughts tangible form, forcing you to be more precise and organized. This brings a new level of clarity, like moving from a fuzzy radio signal to a clear broadcast.
So, for someone new, what's the first step? Do I need special supplies?
The beauty is its simplicity, a pen and paper, or a digital notes app. The most important thing is to start somewhere.
Okay, so it's about externalizing and clarifying an internal process. And it's not about being a perfect writer. Is there a specific kind of writing we should be doing?
Not all. Some days you might write pages, other days just a few sentences. The key is consistency, not volume or perfection. It's like building a muscle. Start with manageable exercises.
I've been intimidated because I compare myself to professional writers. I feel my thoughts aren't good enough.
That's a common hurdle. We're aiming for mental clarity, not literary awards. This is a private conversation with yourself for self-discovery and better thinking.
So, it's more about exploring than reaching a perfect destination?
Exactly. Writing to think helps you navigate your thoughts. You can ask questions and understand what's important. It untangles scattered thoughts and shows you connections.
It sounds like a powerful way to be more intentional about our minds. I feel less overwhelmed already.
And that's the spark we want to ignite. We'll explore practical techniques, like creating a writing space and using writing for everything from decisions to creativity.
So, to recap for our listeners, writing to think is using writing to clarify your thoughts, process information, and solve problems. It's about thinking skill, not writing skill, and the most important thing is to just start.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. We've talked about how cluttered thoughts can feel and how writing creates a quiet space for clarity. This practice is about process, not perfection, leading to self-discovery and making your thoughts work for you.
I'm excited to put this into practice. It feels like unlocking a new understanding.
That's the transformation we hope to inspire. In our next episode, we'll discuss the practicalities of creating your own personal writing space.
Great.
So next time, we'll focus on building that dedicated space. I'm ready. Next episode, The Foundation, your personal writing space.
Welcome back. Last time we covered unlocking your inner thinker. Now let's tackle the foundation of your personal writing space.
That's right, Alex. A dedicated space can make all the difference between scattered ideas and real clarity.
Absolutely. Think of it like finding a quiet corner to focus on a complex problem rather than trying to think in a noisy shopping mall. Your writing space is that quiet corner for your mind.
So, what does this personal writing space actually entail? Is it a fancy desk in a quiet room? Because for some of our listeners, that might feel out of reach.
That's a great point, and it's crucial to address right away. Your writing space doesn't have to be a physical room. It could be a specific chair at the kitchen table after everyone else has left, a park bench you visit regularly, or even a mental space you cultivate. The key is intention and consistency. It's about signaling to yourself, and perhaps to others, that this time and place are for focused thinking.
Okay, so intention is key. How do we create that intention, especially if our physical environment isn't ideal?
Let's start with time. Finding the right time is as important as finding the right place. For many, that might be first thing in the morning, before the day's demands begin. For others, it could be late at night, when the world is quiet. The most important thing is to find a time that works for you consistently. Even 10 or 15 minutes can be incredibly effective.
I've found that writing first thing in the morning works best for me. The moment I wake up, I grab my notebook before my brain even gets a chance to protest too much.
Exactly. And once you have your time, let's talk about the tools. What do you need to get started? It's surprisingly simple. Primarily, you need something to write with and something to write on.
This is where people often get bogged down, I think. They feel like they need the latest gadgets. But I've noticed that sometimes the simplest tools are the most effective. My favorite notebooks are often the ones I've had for a while, with a pen that writes smoothly.
You've hit on a crucial point. Don't let the pursuit of perfect tools become an obstacle. A simple notebook and a reliable pen are fantastic. If you prefer digital, that's perfectly fine too. The goal is to have something that allows you to capture your thoughts without friction. Many people find that a plain notebook and a simple pen are ideal because they're readily available and don't require charging or updates.
So, a physical notebook and pen are often the go-to for a reason. They reduce distractions. There's no temptation to check emails or social media when you're opening a notebook. The act of writing itself can also engage your brain differently than typing.
Indeed, the physical act of forming letters can help solidify thoughts. But if digital works best for you, find an app that's clean and distraction-free. The key is minimizing any barriers between you and your thinking. If a fancy digital notebook distracts you, stick to a simple note-taking app.
Let's talk about distractions. This is probably the biggest hurdle for most people. How do you create that distraction-free environment, whether it's a physical nook or just a mental bubble?
First, recognize what pulls you away. Is it your phone, notifications, other people, the television? Once you identify them, you can actively mitigate them. If it's your phone, put it on silent and out of sight. If it's notifications, turn them off altogether during your writing time.
I have a designated no phone zone for my writing. It's a small shelf by the door. When I go to my writing spot, my phone goes into that zone. It's a physical act that reinforces the mental commitment.
That's a brilliant, tangible strategy, Lisa. For those with family or roommates, communicate your needs. Let them know that during your writing time, you need uninterrupted focus. You might be surprised by their understanding and willingness to support you. It's about setting boundaries.
And if a physical space isn't possible, for example, someone living in a small apartment with shared living spaces,
This is where the mental space comes in. You can create a brief ritual before you begin. Perhaps it's a few deep breaths, a short guided meditation, or simply closing your eyes for a minute and consciously setting an intention for your writing. This mental preparation can create a buffer, a sense of transition from the outside world to your inner world. You can also use portable elements, like a specific scent or a calming piece of music played only during your writing time, to create sensory anchors for your focus state.
sensory anchors, I like that. It's about creating a consistent experience that tells your brain, okay, it's time to think deeply now. So, to recap what we've discussed, your writing space can be physical or mental. The key is intention and consistency. Find a time that works for you. Choose simple, reliable tools, whether digital or analog, and actively work to minimize distractions.
Exactly. And remember, it's a practice. Some days will be easier than others. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just gently guide yourself back to your space and your time. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Making your writing time sacred, by treating it with respect and importance, is foundational to using writing as a powerful thinking tool. This dedicated space, this intentional time, it primes your mind for deeper reflection and clearer thinking.
It really sets the stage. It tells yourself that what you're about to do is important, that your thoughts are valuable.
Precisely. So, as you move forward, consider what your ideal writing space looks like. Even if it's just a small corner or a specific time slot, make it yours. Cultivate it. Protect it.
And in our next episode, we'll dive into a specific technique that many writers and thinkers swear by: morning pages. Get ready to wake up your mind. Next episode: morning pages. Waking up your mind.
Welcome back to Write to Think. Last time, we explored the importance of creating your personal writing space. Now, we're tackling morning pages.
Morning pages. It sounds so simple, yet essential. What exactly are they, Alex? And why are they a cornerstone for using writing as a thinking tool?
Morning pages are a daily journaling practice, typically done first thing in the morning. You write 3 full pages of longhand, stream of consciousness text. There's no editing, no censoring, no thinking about grammar or what anyone else might read. It's purely for you.
3 full pages, longhand, first thing in the morning. That's quite a commitment. What's the purpose behind such a specific set of rules? It sounds like it could be intimidating.
The beauty of it lies in those very rules. First, 3 full pages. This isn't about a few sentences. It's enough volume to push past the superficial thoughts and reach deeper levels of your mind. Think of it like digging a well. You have to go past the surface dirt to find the water.
So it's about quantity to achieve quality of thought, rather than trying to carefully craft some perfect prose.
Exactly. And longhand is crucial. Writing by hand engages different parts of your brain than typing. It slows you down, which is actually a benefit. It forces you to process your thoughts more deliberately, fostering a connection between your physical action and your mental state.
So my hand movements actually influence my thinking process. That's fascinating.
It is. And then there's first thing in the morning. This is key because you're capturing your thoughts before the day's demands and external noise can interfere. It's like getting a clear signal from your inner self before the radio station gets crowded with static.
That makes so much sense. My mind is often racing from the moment I wake up. I can see how getting my thoughts down before I get caught up in my to-do list would be incredibly beneficial. But what about the stream of consciousness part and no censoring? What do you actually write about?
That's where people often get stuck. The truth is, you can write about anything. Seriously, anything. Did you sleep poorly? Write about it. Are you worried about a meeting? Write about it. Did you see something interesting on your commute? Write about it. The content isn't the point, the process is. It's a mental decluttering exercise.
So, it's like a brain dump?
Precisely, a brain dump for your mind. You're essentially clearing the mental whiteboard of all the little anxieties, ideas, to-do list items, and random observations that clutter your thinking space. This clearing allows for greater clarity and focus later in the day. Many people find that by doing their morning pages, they naturally solve problems, generate new ideas, or untangle confusing emotions without even trying.
It sounds almost magical. You're not actively trying to solve a problem, but by writing freely, the solution presents itself.
That's the power of engaging with your subconscious mind without judgment. When you allow your thoughts to flow freely, you bypass your inner critic. You give yourself permission to be imperfect, to be messy, and in doing so, you uncover thoughts and feelings you might otherwise suppress or ignore.
So, if I'm feeling stuck on a particular creative project, I could just write about how stuck I feel, and that might free up the creative flow?
Absolutely. Or perhaps you're wrestling with a difficult decision. Writing about your anxieties, your hopes, and your fears related to that decision, without trying to reach a conclusion, often illuminates the path forward. It's about externalizing your internal world.
What if I find myself writing the same things over and over?
That's very common, especially at the beginning. Repetition is a signal. It might mean there's an issue you're not fully acknowledging or a thought pattern you need to work through. Don't fight it. Just keep writing. The act of repeating eventually leads to a breakthrough, or at least a deeper understanding of the recurring theme.
So, I'm essentially using the physical act of writing to untangle the knots in my mind.
That's a great way to put it. Think of your mind like a busy digital workspace. You have dozens of tabs open, notifications popping up, and 1,000 little files scattered everywhere. Morning Pages is like closing all those unnecessary tabs, organizing your files, and clearing your desktop before you start your important work. It prepares your mind for focused, intentional thinking.
And this preparation is what truly unlocks our thinking potential throughout the day. It's not just about writing, it's about clearing the way to think.
Precisely. It's about creating mental quiet. In our hyperconnected world, true mental quiet is a rare and valuable commodity. Morning Pages is your personal tool for cultivating that quiet. It's a commitment to your own mental well-being and clarity. By consistently dedicating this time, you're not just filling pages, you're investing in your ability to think more clearly, creatively, and effectively.
So, to recap for our listeners, morning pages are 3 pages written longhand, first thing in the morning. The content is a free flowing stream of consciousness, unfiltered and uncensored. The goal isn't artistic perfection, but mental decluttering and self discovery. It's about clearing the canvas of your mind so you can paint your day with intention and clarity.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. It's a simple practice with profound results. It's about waking up your mind by giving it the space to unload and express itself before the demands of the day begin.
It sounds like a truly transformative way to start the day. I can already imagine the difference it would make.
And the best part is, once you get into the rhythm, it becomes a natural, almost effortless part of your routine. It's a powerful ally in our journey of using writing to think.
Thank you, Alex. I'm feeling inspired to try this right away.
Excellent. Next time, we'll explore how this practice of morning pages directly connects to the broader philosophy of writing as a tool for thinking, going beyond just a morning ritual. Next episode, Beyond the Page, the philosophy of writing as thinking. Welcome back. Last time, we explored morning pages. Now let's tackle the philosophy of writing as thinking.
Welcome back, everyone, to Write to Think. Last time, we explored morning pages and how they can be a powerful tool for waking up your mind. Today, we're diving even deeper, moving beyond the simple act of writing and into the philosophy of writing as thinking. We'll explore the profound why behind this practice.
That's right, Lisa. Think about it. Our thoughts can often feel like a tangled ball of yarn, right? They're complex, interconnected, and can be difficult to pull apart. But when we start writing, we're essentially taking that ball of yarn and laying it out strand by strand. This act of externalization is incredibly powerful. It transforms those fleeting, ephemeral whispers in our minds into something tangible, something we can actually look at, analyze, and understand.
So, it's not just about documenting our thoughts, but about processing them. It's about giving them form and substance, which then allows us to engage with them in a new way.
Precisely. From a cognitive science perspective, writing engages different parts of our brain than simply thinking. When you write, you're not just recalling information. You're constructing sentences, organizing ideas, and often accessing different memory systems. This multifaceted engagement helps to solidify those thoughts. It moves them from short-term, elusive ideas into more stable, accessible memories and insights. It's like taking a blurry picture and bringing it into sharp focus.
I love that analogy, Alex. The blurry picture becoming sharp focus. So, by writing, we're quite literally making our thinking clearer and more defined.
Exactly. And this isn't a new concept, despite how modern it might feel. Philosophers and thinkers throughout history have recognized the power of written reflection. From the ancient Stoics meticulously journaling their reflections on virtue and life, to countless writers and scientists who use diaries and notebooks to develop their ideas, the practice of writing as a thinking tool is deeply rooted. It's connecting with an age-old wisdom.
It's interesting you mention ancient wisdom. It sounds like they understood the benefits before we even had the scientific terminology for it.
They certainly had an intuitive grasp on it. The act of writing forces a kind of accountability to your own thoughts. When you write something down, you have to commit to it, at least for that moment. This commitment encourages a deeper level of self-examination. You have to define your terms, articulate your reasoning, and face the logic of your own arguments. Can you truly say you understand something if you can't explain it, even just to yourself, on paper?
That's a great question. I think a lot of us think we understand things, but when we try to write them out, we realize there are gaps in our knowledge or logic that we hadn't noticed before. It's like when you're explaining something to a child, and you suddenly have to break it down into its simplest parts, and in doing so, you understand it better yourself.
That's a perfect parallel, Lisa. The act of writing is very similar. It's a form of self-teaching. By articulating your thoughts, you're not just expressing them. You're actively constructing your understanding. You're observing the patterns in your thinking. Do you find yourself returning to the same fears, the same questions, the same solutions? Writing makes these patterns visible. This visibility is crucial for growth and change.
So, it helps us identify our own cognitive biases or habitual ways of thinking that might not be serving us well.
Absolutely. It provides a mirror to your mind. And these mirrors are often revealed in the subtle shifts in your language, the recurring themes, or even the things you avoid writing about. These are all clues to your inner mental landscape. It's by seeing these patterns that we gain the perspective needed to change them. It bridges the gap between what we think we know and what we truly comprehend. It's the difference between a passing feeling and a settled conviction.
This really emphasizes that writing isn't just a task, it's a process of active engagement with our own consciousness. It's a dialogue with ourselves.
It is a dialogue. And like any good dialogue, it can lead to unexpected places. Sometimes, the act of writing reveals a solution you weren't actively looking for, or it clarifies a problem so much that the solution becomes obvious. You're not trying to force an answer. You're allowing the answer to emerge through the process of articulation. It's a gentle, yet profound, way to foster clarity.
So, to recap what we've discussed today, writing as a thinking tool moves beyond simply recording thoughts. It's a cognitive process that engages different brain functions, solidifies ideas, and makes our thinking patterns visible. This practice has historical roots, and it allows us to hold our thoughts accountable, uncover gaps in our understanding, and ultimately bridge the gap between perceived knowledge and true comprehension.
Beautifully put, Lisa. The philosophy here is simple but powerful. Writing is not just an output of thought. It is a vital part of the thinking process itself. By externalizing our thoughts, we gain clarity, perspective, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
It truly is a tool for unlocking our inner thinker, as we heard in the first episode. This episode really grounded the why behind the how.
And that foundation is crucial as we move forward. Next episode, we'll build on this philosophical understanding and explore a very practical application. journaling specifically for clarity and untangling your thoughts.
Looking forward to it.
Next episode, journaling for clarity, untangling your thoughts. Welcome back to Write to Think. Last time, we explored writing as a tool for thinking. Today, we're journaling for clarity.
It's like trying to find a specific package in a warehouse where everything is piled up. You know it's there, but it's just not easily accessible. So, how does journaling help us sort through that mental clutter?
Journaling for clarity brings order to that harbor. It's a space to examine your thoughts and feelings and give them a proper place. We're using writing to untangle complex thoughts and gain a clearer understanding of ourselves and our situations.
So, it's like becoming an intellectual detective, using our pen as the magnifying glass?
Exactly. We can approach journaling in a few main ways: free-form writing and structured journaling. Free-form writing, or stream of consciousness, is like letting the boats drift freely and just observing where they go. You start writing whatever comes to mind, without censorship, without worrying about grammar or structure.
If I just write whatever pops into my head, how does that lead to clarity?
When you allow yourself to write without judgment, your subconscious can start to reveal itself. You might notice recurring themes, patterns, or connections you hadn't made before. It helps you identify underlying anxieties or desires hidden beneath the surface. For instance, you might start writing about a simple annoyance, and an hour later, you've uncovered a deep-seated fear of failure that was actually driving that annoyance. The key is to just keep your pen moving for a set amount of time, say 10 or 15 minutes. Don't stop to edit or overthink. Just let the words flow.
That would help surface things. But what if you're not sure where to start, or you feel overwhelmed and don't know what to write about at all? That's where those structured techniques must come in handy.
Precisely. Structured journaling gives you a starting point, a map for your detective work. These often involve specific prompts or questions. For example, if you're feeling confused about a particular situation, you might ask yourself, what is the core issue I'm facing? Then dive into that question. Another prompt could be, what are the different options I see, and what are the potential pros and cons of each?
That feels more manageable when you're stuck. It's like having a checklist for your investigation.
It is. A really powerful structured exercise is decision journaling. Before you make an important decision, you can dedicate a journal entry to it. Start by writing down the decision you need to make. Then, explore your feelings about each potential choice. What emotions come up? What are your biggest hopes and fears associated with each path? Once you've explored those, you can then move on to a more rational analysis, listing the objective pros and cons. This combination of emotional exploration and logical assessment can be incredibly clarifying.
So, you're not just talking yourself into or out of something, you're really unpacking the whole decision. What about when you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed? Is there a specific journaling approach for that?
Absolutely. For overwhelm, clear out journaling can be your best friend. It's a technique where you simply list everything that's on your mind, no matter how small or insignificant it seems. Think of it like emptying your mental pockets onto paper. You might find yourself writing down things like forgot to buy milk, worrying about that presentation, feeling guilty about not calling my sister. The act of externalizing these scattered thoughts can immediately reduce the feeling of being overwhelmed. Once they're written down, you can then categorize them, prioritize them, or simply acknowledge them and move on.
That sounds like a weight lifted right there. Just seeing it all laid out, rather than swirling around in your head. You mentioned identifying the root cause of confusion earlier. How does journaling help with that specifically?
It helps by allowing you to follow the thread. When a thought or feeling arises, instead of just accepting it at face value, you ask why. You write down the thought, Then below it, you write your answer to why is this bothering me, and then ask why to that answer. You keep doing this, digging deeper with each question. It's a process often called the 5 whys, though you might need more or fewer whys depending on the complexity. For example, if you feel anxious about a social event, you might write, I feel anxious about the party. Why? Because I don't know anyone there. Why? Because I'm shy. Why? Because I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing. Why? Because I have a fear of judgment. See how we've moved from a surface level feeling to a deeper seated fear? Writing this out makes that progression visible and comprehensible.
That's a brilliant way to get to the heart of the matter. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. You start with the outer layer of the immediate feeling, and by consistently asking why, you eventually get to the core.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that journaling for clarity isn't about finding perfect answers immediately. It's about the process of exploration. Some days your entries will be messy. Some days they'll be profound. The consistency is what builds clarity over time. You're creating a dialogue with yourself, and that ongoing conversation is where true understanding emerges.
So, to recap what we've discussed today, journaling for clarity involves bringing order to the harbor of our mind. We can use free-form writing to let thoughts flow and identify subconscious patterns, or employ structured journaling with prompts for more directed exploration. Techniques like decision journaling help in making choices, while clear-out journaling can alleviate overwhelm. And by consistently asking why, we can uncover the root causes of our confusion and emotions.
You've got it, Lisa. It's about creating a deliberate, reflective space to untangle those thoughts. The more you practice, the more adept you become at navigating your own inner landscape.
It's a powerful practice, and I'm excited to encourage our listeners to try it out.
Me too. Next episode, we'll be tackling the crucial skill of processing emotions and how writing can help us navigate that often turbulent territory. Welcome back to Write to Think. Last time, we explored how journaling can bring clarity to our thoughts. Today, we're focusing on processing emotions through writing.
That's such an important area, Alex. We often focus on the logical side of thinking, but our feelings are a huge part of our inner world. How can writing actually help us work through what we're feeling?
It's a powerful tool, Lisa, because it gives us space. When we feel overwhelmed by an emotion, it can feel like a swirling storm inside. Writing acts like a calm, observing and looking at that storm. It helps us name the emotion, understand its source, and see it clearly.
So, instead of just experiencing the wave of emotion, writing helps us step back and observe it?
Exactly. Think about it. When you're upset, your feelings can be intense and confusing. If you try to process them just by thinking about them, you might just go in circles. But when you write them down, you're creating a tangible record. You can see patterns, you can identify triggers, and you can start to separate the emotion itself from the story you might be telling yourself about it.
That makes sense. It's like taking that swirling storm and putting it into a series of labeled boxes. When did you first realize writing could help with emotions?
For me, it was during a particularly stressful period. I felt a lot of anxiety and frustration, and I didn't know where it was coming from. I started a practice of just writing down my feelings at the end of each day, no editing, no judgment, just what was there. And slowly, I began to see a connection between certain events and how I felt. It wasn't immediate, but the writing provided the evidence.
What are some of the ways we can actually do this? It can feel a bit daunting to write about difficult feelings.
That's a common reaction. The key is to start with what feels manageable. One powerful technique is called emotional journaling. It's not about writing a perfect narrative. It's about honest, unedited expression. You can start by simply asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? Or what emotion is strongest for me today? Then, Just let the words flow.
So, no pressure to be eloquent, just to be honest. What if the feeling is really strong, like anger or sadness? Is there a way to write about that without getting sucked deeper into it?
That's a great question, and it leads to a crucial aspect: writing as a processing tool, not a rumination tool. Rumination is when you get stuck in a loop of negative thoughts. Processing, on the other hand, is about moving through the emotion.
How do we achieve that distinction?
When you write about a difficult emotion, try to adopt the stance of an observer. Imagine you're explaining this feeling to a friend who's never experienced it. What are its characteristics? What thoughts accompany it? What physical sensations do you notice in your body? This detachment helps you see the emotion as something you are experiencing rather than something that defines you.
Oh, I like that. It's like being a scientist studying an emotion rather than being lost in the emotion itself. You mentioned physical sensations. That's interesting.
Yes, emotions manifest physically. Anger might feel like heat in your chest, anxiety like a knot in your stomach. When you write about these physical sensations, you're acknowledging the full scope of the emotion. You could describe them: my jaw is clenched, or there's a tightness in my throat. By naming these physical aspects, you bring them into conscious awareness, which can often diffuse their intensity.
So, when you're writing, focus not just on the thoughts, but on the physical feelings too.
Precisely. And another technique that's incredibly effective for difficult emotions is writing a letter you don't send. If you're angry with someone, write a letter expressing all your anger, all your hurt, all your frustration. Get all out. Don't hold back. The act of writing it down, unedited, can be incredibly cathartic. Then you can choose not to send it, keeping its power contained and personal.
That's a brilliant way to release pent up feelings without causing any external impact. So, the writing itself is the release.
Exactly. The writing allows the emotion to move through you. It's like a river flowing. If you block the river, it will eventually overflow. If you let it flow, it moves to the sea. Writing helps open up that channel.
What about positive emotions? Can writing help us process joy or excitement too?
Absolutely. We often focus on processing the difficult stuff, but writing about joy, gratitude, and excitement can amplify those feelings and help us savor them. You can write about what you're grateful for, why you're excited about something, or what moments of happiness have stood out. This practice helps embed those positive experiences more deeply in your mind and heart.
It's like reinforcing the good feelings. That's a lovely thought. So, when we want to process emotions through writing, we can adopt an observational stance, name and describe both thoughts and physical sensations, use techniques like writing unsent letters, and remember to write about positive emotions to amplify them.
You've got it, Lisa. Writing about our emotions isn't about solving them instantly, but about creating a dialogue with ourselves. It's about building empathy for our own inner experience, understanding what we're feeling, and learning to move through it with awareness and self-compassion. It allows us to be more empathetic observers of our own heart.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Writing truly is a tool for navigating our entire inner world.
It absolutely is. And next time, we'll be talking about how to use this same clarity and processing power to make important decisions with greater confidence. Next episode: decision writing, making choices with confidence. Welcome back to Write to Think. Last time, we explored how writing can help us process our emotions. Today, we're shifting gears to something many of us find challenging: making decisions. We'll be diving into creating confidence through decision writing.
Decision writing. That sounds immediately helpful because, honestly, Alex, I often feel paralyzed by choices, big or small. I overthink everything, and it can lead to a lot of anxiety. So, How exactly does writing help us make better decisions?
That's a fantastic question, Lisa. Think about it. When we have a decision to make, our minds can race. We juggle possibilities, fears, hopes, and past experiences all in our heads. It's like a chaotic internal debate. Decision writing brings order to that chaos. Essentially, give your thoughts a place to land, a structure, so you can examine them more objectively.
Okay, so it's about taking that internal chaos and putting it down on paper or on a screen so we can look at it from the outside?
Exactly. The fundamental idea behind decision writing is to externalize the internal. You're moving the decision-making process from the abstract realm of your mind to the concrete world of words. This allows you to see your options clearly, to weigh them, and to understand the underlying drivers of your preferences. So, the first step in decision writing is to clearly define the decision you need to make.
Define the decision. So instead of thinking, I need to figure out my career, it's more like, should I take the job offer from company A or continue with my current role?
Precisely. You've got to articulate the specific choice you're facing. Vague decisions lead to vague thinking. Once you've clearly stated the decision, the next step is to identify your options. For most decisions, there are usually at least two paths. Write them down as distinctly as possible.
So if my decision is, should I buy a new car or keep my current one? My options are option A, buy a new car. Option B, keep my current car.
Perfect. Now that you have your options laid out, we start to unpack them. This is where the real work of decision writing begins. For each option, you're going to explore the potential outcomes. A very effective way to do this is to list the pros and cons.
The classic pros and cons list. I've done that before, but sometimes it still feels like a tie.
And that's where decision writing offers a bit more depth than a simple listing. We're not just listing them, we're going to explore them with a bit more detail and a touch of emotional intelligence. For each pro of an option, ask yourself, why is this a pro for me? What value does it hold? For example, with buying a new car, a pro might be better fuel efficiency. But digging deeper, you might realize why that's important. Is it to save money? To be more environmentally friendly? To reduce range anxiety on longer trips? Articulating the why behind each pro gives it more weight.
That makes sense. It's not just better fuel efficiency, it's better fuel efficiency, which means I'll save around $50 a month on gas, and that extra money can go towards my travel fund.
Exactly. You're connecting the feature to a personal benefit or value. Now for the cons. For each con of an option, ask, how significant is this con? What's the potential impact if this con actually happens? And crucially, can this con be mitigated or avoided? Sometimes a con might seem scary, but upon closer examination, you realize it's manageable.
So, for keeping my current car, a con might be it's starting to need more repairs. That's a bit abstract. But if I write, this con means I might face unexpected repair bills of $500 to $1,000 in the next year, which could derail my travel fund savings, then I can see the real impact. And I can also ask myself, could I set aside a small emergency repair fund each month to mitigate that risk?
You've got it. This level of detail is what transforms a basic pros and cons list into a powerful decision-making tool. You're breaking down assumptions and confronting realities. After thoroughly listing and exploring the pros and cons for each option, there's another layer to decision writing that's often overlooked. Your intuition, your gut feeling.
Right. Sometimes, even when the pros and cons seem balanced, you just feel one way is better.
Absolutely. And that feeling is valuable data. So, for each option, after you've done a logical analysis, take a moment to sit with it. How does thinking about option A make you feel? Excited? Anxious? Relieved? Do the same for option B. You can even write a few sentences describing this feeling. For instance, thinking about buying the new car makes me feel a bit nervous about the monthly payments, but also a sense of excitement about a fresh start. Conversely, keeping my old car feels familiar and safe, but a little bit dull, and I worry about it breaking down.
So, we're combining the logical with the emotional. the head and the heart on paper.
Beautifully put, Lisa. And sometimes the emotional response can highlight a deeper value or fear that wasn't fully captured in the pros and cons. Once you've done this for all your options, you'll have pages of written exploration. The next step isn't to immediately pick an option. It's to review what you've written.
Review, so I read through all my pros, cons, and gut feelings for each option?
Yes, read it out loud, even. Sometimes hearing your thoughts can reveal new insights. Look for patterns. Which option has pros that align most deeply with your core values? Which option's cons are truly deal breakers, or perhaps surprisingly manageable? Which option evokes a more consistently positive or empowering feeling, even with its challenges?
This sounds like it really forces you to be honest with yourself about what truly matters.
It does. And that's the goal. Decision writing isn't about finding the perfect choice, because often there isn't one. It's about finding the best choice for you, right now, with the information and self-awareness you possess. By doing this writing, you're not just listing factors, you're actively engaging with them. You're building a case, not just for or against an option, but for your own well-being and your future self.
So, after reviewing, what's the final step? Do I just circle the option that feels right?
The review process often leads you to a clear direction. You might find one option consistently stands out, or perhaps you've identified a way to mitigate the cons of one option to make it more appealing. Sometimes, the writing process itself might even reveal a third, better option you hadn't considered. The key is that when you feel ready to make your choice, it's a choice that has been deeply considered, not just a whim or a capitulation to pressure. You've armed yourself with clarity. You've made an informed decision, and that builds confidence.
It sounds like this process helps reduce the fear of making the wrong decision because you've done the work to make the best decision given what you know.
Exactly. You've approached it with intention and a commitment to understanding yourself. So, to recap, first, clearly define the decision. Second, identify and clearly state your options. Third, for each option, list and thoroughly explore the pros and cons, digging into the why behind each and assessing their impact. Fourth, capture your intuitive emotional response to each option. And finally, review all your written thoughts to gain clarity and confidence in your choice. This structured approach transforms the often dreaded task of decision-making into a process of self-discovery and empowerment.
That's a fantastic breakdown, Alex. I feel much more equipped to tackle my next decision with writing.
Wonderful to hear, Lisa. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Next time, we'll be talking about how to use writing to deconstruct challenges and find solutions on paper. Next episode, problem solving on paper, deconstructing challenges. Welcome back to Write to Think. We explored how writing aids in tough decisions. Now, we tackle writing to solve problems.
Problems can feel overwhelming, Alex. This episode promises writing helps break them into manageable steps.
Exactly. A complex knot isn't solved by yanking. Writing lets us examine, find loose ends, and patiently undo tangles.
So, how do we start using writing to tackle a problem?
First, clearly define the problem. Writing it down reveals nuances and deeper issues we might miss.
Like saying my project is failing when the real issue is communication or resources.
Precisely. Spend 5 to 10 minutes writing down the problem as you understand it now. Ask, what shouldn't be happening? What should be but isn't? What's the impact?
After defining it, what's the next step?
Deconstruction. Break the problem into smaller components. Problems are rarely isolated. They're a web. Listing factors reveals the challenge's landscape.
Like identifying each gear and lever in a complex machine.
A great analogy. Imagine a complicated cake. You gather ingredients, mix batter, bake, frost, assemble, and decorate. Each is a manageable task.
So we identify the ingredients and layers of our problem through writing.
How?
Brainstorm a list. Ask what contributes. What are the causes? Symptoms? Who or what areas are involved? Get all down.
Can we organize that list?
Absolutely. Group similar items. Look for themes. You might find common threads in communication, budget, or time. This reveals the problem structure.
We go from a messy problem statement to organized parts.
Precisely. This grouping creates a map of your problem, showing connections, root causes, and consequences.
This moves us from feeling overwhelmed to understanding pieces. What's next?
Analysis. Ask deeper questions about each component. How significant is it? How much control do you have? What are its consequences if unaddressed?
This helps prioritize and focus energy, right?
Exactly. Not all parts are equal. Analysis reveals critical roadblocks versus minor annoyances.
So we're evaluating, not just listing.
We are. This analysis often leads to identifying potential solutions for each component.
Which naturally leads to brainstorming solutions.
It does. With your problem deconstructed and parts analyzed, brainstorm effective solutions. Don't judge yet. Think creatively. What are all possible ways to address this part? What about unconventional ideas?
We can let our imaginations run wild here.
Yes, even silly ideas can spark innovation. Focusing on individual components makes brainstorming less daunting. It's like brainstorming cake recipes, then frosting types, then decoration ideas.
We have our deconstructed problem, analysis, and brainstorm solutions. What's the final step?
Synthesize and plan. Review your brainstorm solutions, which are practical, effective, and feasible.
So we choose the best solutions.
Yes, select viable solutions and outline implementation steps. For each, write down what needs to be done, who does it, and by when. This turns abstract ideas into concrete actions.
This is where it becomes actionable. We go from understanding to a clear roadmap.
Correct. Writing has done the heavy lifting, defining, deconstructing, analyzing, brainstorming, and planning. What seemed insurmountable is now a series of manageable tasks.
It highlights the power of visualizing problems through writing.
Indeed. To recap, when facing a problem, 1. Define it clearly. 2. Deconstruct it. 3. Analyze each part. 4. Brainstorm solutions for each part. 5. Synthesize into a plan. This process turns chaos into clarity.
A fantastic summary, Alex. Progress made just by engaging with problems on paper.
It truly is. Join us next time when we'll be discussing how to overcome writer's block and what we call thinker's block. Next episode, Overcoming Writer's Block and Thinker's Block. Welcome back to Write to Think. We explored how writing helps make decisions and solve problems. Now, let's tackle overcoming writer's block.
Yes, writer's block. It sounds specific, but I think we're really talking about thinker's block, being stuck, unable to access your thoughts when facing a blank page.
Exactly, Lisa. It's mental stagnation where ideas won't flow. It's completely normal, even for prolific thinkers. The good news is writing offers the best ways to break through.
So, it's not about waiting for inspiration, but using writing to generate it?
Precisely. Why do we get stuck? Usually we're too rigid, too afraid of mistakes, or just exhausted. Our writing process can address all of these.
Let's start with rigidity. Sometimes I force an idea into a shape and it halts everything.
That's common. A great technique is free writing. Remember morning pages? Free writing is similar. Just keep your pen or fingers moving for a set time without stopping, censoring, or editing.
So I just write whatever comes to mind, even if it seems nonsensical?
Exactly. The point is to bypass your internal editor. Set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes. Pick a prompt, or start with I feel stuck because, and keep writing. Don't worry about grammar or sense. You're clearing the pipes.
That makes sense. It's like a mental warm-up. You wouldn't run a marathon without one, right?
A perfect analogy. With free writing, you might be surprised what emerges. A random thought can lead to a breakthrough. Another technique is word association.
Word association? Like I say a word, you say the first word that comes to mind?
Yes, but on paper, start with a word related to your problem. Let's say customer loyalty. You write loyalty. Then, what's associated with loyalty? Maybe trust. Then, trust leads to honesty. Keep going.
The idea is that a chain of words might uncover unexpected connections or new angles.
Precisely. It's a way to explore the periphery of an idea, to see what's connected that you might not have considered. This helps when you feel like you've exhausted obvious approaches.
What about when the block feels like a lack of energy or motivation? Writing feels like a chore.
That's where playful writing comes in. We need to remind ourselves that thinking and writing don't always have to be serious. Try deliberately silly or imaginative prompts.
Can you give an example?
Sure, write a dialogue between your laptop and coffee mug. Write a product review for clouds. Imagine what your pet would say if they could talk. The goal is to re-engage your imagination and remind your brain it can create and play.
That sounds fun. And I can see how that loosens things up. It's like juggling light balls instead of trying to lift a heavy weight.
Exactly. It lowers the stakes and can lead to a more relaxed state where solutions surface. Resistance to writing often comes from fear or feeling overwhelmed. By simplifying and making it playful, we reduce pressure.
So, to recap strategies for breaking through thinker's block, we have free writing to clear mental cobwebs, word association for exploring connections, and playful writing to reignite imagination and reduce pressure.
You got it. These aren't magic bullets. Sometimes it takes a combination. The key is consistent effort, even when it's difficult. Don't see block as a sign you can't think, but as a signal to try a different approach.
That's a really important distinction. So, instead of despairing, we can see a block as an invitation to experiment with our writing tools.
Precisely. Think of it as a creative puzzle. The block is just a puzzle that requires different tools or a fresh perspective. Writing provides those tools. By actively engaging your thoughts, even when stuck, you are moving forward. That momentum will carry you past the obstacle.
It's about trusting the process, isn't it? Trusting that these writing exercises will lead us where we need to go.
Absolutely, Lisa. Trust the process and trust your own ability to think. The tools are at your fingertips, right there on the page.
Next episode, the power of reflection, reviewing your written thoughts.
Welcome back to Write to Think. Today, we're exploring the power of reviewing your written thoughts through reflection.
Alex, you've hit on something so important. For so many of us, the act of writing feels like the complete task. We pour our thoughts onto the page, and then we often just close the notebook or hit save. We don't always circle back.
Exactly, Lisa. And that's where a huge amount of the benefit lies. Think of it this way. Writing is like collecting the raw ingredients for a meal. Reflection is the cooking and the tasting. You can't truly appreciate or learn from those ingredients unless you combine them, prepare them, and experience the final dish. Reflection is where the wisdom crystallizes.
That's a fantastic analogy. So, when we talk about reflection, what exactly are we doing? Are we just rereading our old journals with rose-tinted glasses?
Not all. Reflection is an active process. It's about engaging with your past, writing to understand yourself, your progress, and your patterns more deeply. We're not just passively rereading. We're actively looking for insights, connections, and lessons learned. We've talked about different forms of writing throughout this series: morning pages, decision logs, problem-solving exercises. Reflection applies to all of them.
Okay, so let's break down how we can actually do this. Where do we start?
A great place to start is with your morning pages. Remember those? The stream of consciousness, writing first thing in the morning. When you go back to review them, don't judge them. Instead, look for recurring themes. Are you frequently worried about the same thing? Are there certain desires that keep popping up? These are invaluable signals from your subconscious.
So, if I see, I'm so stressed about this project, appearing almost daily for a week, that's a flag.
Precisely. It's a flag that the stress is a significant factor in your current mental landscape. Reflection allows you to see that pattern, and then you can ask yourself, what can I do about this stress? It moves you from simply expressing the feeling to actively addressing it.
And what about decision logs? We've discussed how writing down your choices and the reasons behind them can be so helpful.
Decision logs are perfect for reflection because they provide concrete data points. When you're faced with a similar choice later on, you can review past decisions. Did the outcome match your expectations? What factors did you overlook or overemphasize? This builds a powerful feedback loop, teaching you to make even better decisions in the future. It's like building a personal database of what works and what doesn't.
It's like learning from your own life experiments. And I imagine this applies to the problem-solving exercises too, reviewing how you deconstructed challenges.
Absolutely. When you look back at how you tackled a past problem, you're not just seeing the solution. You're seeing the process. You see the questions you asked, the assumptions you challenged, the alternative solutions you considered. This reinforces your problem-solving muscles for future challenges. You're essentially training your mind to approach difficulties more effectively by studying past successes and even past stumbles.
This sounds incredibly empowering. But how often should we be reflecting? Daily? Weekly?
It can be a mix. Daily reflection might be a quick scan of your morning pages for dominant emotions or immediate concerns. Weekly reflection could involve a more in-depth look at your journaling from the past 7 days, perhaps focusing on one specific decision log or problem-solving exercise. Monthly or quarterly reflection is where you might see larger patterns emerge across all your writing. The key is consistency, not necessarily a rigid schedule. Find what feels manageable and beneficial for you.
So, it's not about creating a massive pile of work, but integrating this review into our existing practice. Are there any specific techniques to make this review more effective and less overwhelming?
One great technique is asking targeted questions. Instead of just rereading, come with questions like, what was my biggest insight this week? What am I grateful for my writing? What is one small step I could take based on what I've written? You can also use highlighting or journaling about your reflections. Jot down your key takeaways from a journaling session in a separate section or a dedicated reflection notebook.
I like that. It gives the reflection its own space and purpose. Another thing I've encountered is the fear of judgment, even from ourselves. We might look back and think, why did I think that?
That is a very real hurdle, and it's why approaching reflection with non-judgment is paramount. Imagine you're a compassionate observer of your past self. That past self was doing the best they could with the information and understanding they had at that moment. Your current self, with the benefit of hindsight afforded by reflection, can offer compassion and learning. You're not judging, you're understanding and growing.
That's such a compassionate way to look at it. So, to recap, writing is about getting our thoughts out. Reflection is about understanding what those thoughts mean, identifying patterns, learning from our experiences, and ultimately, making better decisions and solving problems more effectively. It's about making our writing a dynamic tool for growth, not just a static record.
Exactly. Reflection turns scattered thoughts into connected wisdom. It's the bridge between simply writing down our experiences and truly learning from them. It's the process of integrating what we've written back into our lives in a meaningful way. It's where you see the real power of writing as a thinking tool fully realized.
So, don't just write and then put your pen down. Turn the page, reflect, and let those insights guide you forward.
Indeed. And this brings us to the part of our series where we consider making this practice sustainable. Next episode, we'll be exploring how to cultivate a writing to think habit that truly sticks. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Write to Think. Last time, we explored reflection. Now, let's talk about making writing a lasting habit.
It's one thing to start writing, but how do we keep it going when life gets hectic?
Setting realistic expectations is key. Aim for consistency over perfection. Even 5 minutes regularly beats an hour sporadically. Think of it like watering a garden. Small, consistent amounts keep plants healthy.
So, instead of I must write for 30 minutes, aim for I will write for at least 5 minutes. That feels much more achievable.
Precisely. Integrate writing into your existing routine. Pair it with something you already do, like writing for 5 minutes before your first cup of coffee.
Like habit anchoring. If I check email first thing, I can write for 5 minutes before opening my inbox. That connects the new habit to an established one.
You've got it. Be flexible and forgiving with yourself. If you miss a day, don't let it derail you. Just pick it up again tomorrow. We're building a resilient practice, not a perfect record.
That's crucial, the mental framing around setbacks. It's easy to feel like a missed day ruins everything. Getting back up is key for sustainability.
Absolutely. Periodically review why you started, or the initial sparks. Remembering your why reignites motivation. Recall the clarity from journaling or the confidence from decision writing we discussed earlier.
When things feel monotonous, remembering those initial breakthroughs reminds us of the tangible value this practice provides.
And to keep the practice fresh, it should evolve with your life. Your needs change, so your writing approach can too. Experiment with different formats or prompts.
So, it's about evolving with the practice, not just doing the same thing if it's no longer serving us.
Exactly. Imagine eating the same meal every day. You'd get bored. Variety keeps it enjoyable and valuable, like our writing practice.
A sustainable practice involves realistic goals, routine integration, flexibility, remembering our motivation, and keeping the practice fresh.
That's a fantastic summary. This isn't a chore. It's a tool for clarity, confidence, and creativity. It's an investment in yourself, ensuring it becomes a lifelong companion.
It's about building resilience, creating a practice that withstands life's ups and downs.
Precisely. And as we move towards the end of our series, we'll look into more advanced techniques to enhance your writing as thinking journey.
I'm already looking forward to it.
Next episode, advanced techniques, mind mapping, bullet journaling, and more. Welcome back to Write to Think, the podcast that helps you unlock your inner thinker through writing. Last time, we discussed cultivating a sustainable practice, making those writing habits stick.
That's right. We talked about finding your rhythm, consistency, and integrating writing into your daily life without feeling overwhelmed. It was about building a solid foundation for ongoing success.
Exactly. And now, for episode 12, we're ready to go deeper. We'll explore advanced techniques to expand your writing as thinking toolkit. Think of this as leveling up your mental agility and insight.
Oh, I'm excited.
So, what advanced techniques are we talking about today? It sounds like we're moving beyond just free writing and journaling.
We are. Today, we're introducing mind mapping, bullet journaling for structured thought, and creative writing exercises for cognitive flexibility. The goal is to show you how to diversify your approach and tackle even more complex ideas and projects.
Mind mapping sounds fascinating. I've seen those visual diagrams, but how does it work as a writing as thinking tool?
Great question, Lisa. Think of a mind map as a visual brainstorming session. You start with a central idea or topic in the middle. From that central idea, you branch out with related subtopics, keywords, or concepts. Each of those branches can then sprout further branches, creating a web of interconnected thoughts.
So, it's not just about writing words on a page, but about seeing how ideas connect visually.
Precisely. When you're mind mapping, you're not writing full sentences. You're jotting down keywords, phrases, and images. This helps bypass your internal editor and get ideas flowing. It's effective for exploring a topic broadly, seeing relationships between elements, and identifying areas to explore further through traditional writing. It's like laying out puzzle pieces to see the whole picture.
That makes sense. It's a way to organize your thoughts visually before diving into more linear thinking. What about bullet journaling? How does that fit into advanced techniques?
Bullet journaling, often called Bujo, is a highly customizable organizational system. While used for task management and daily planning, its core principles are powerful for thinking. It uses short, concise notes, called bullets, to capture information quickly. You can have different types of bullets for notes, events, and tasks.
So, it's about efficiency and clarity in capturing thoughts.
Exactly. The power in bullet journaling for thinking comes from its flexibility and rapid logging. You can create different collections, pages dedicated to specific topics or projects. For instance, you could have a collection for exploring a new business idea, a collection for processing a complex problem, or even a collection for brainstorming characters for a story.
So, you can adapt the bullet journaling system to different thinking tasks. It's not just a to-do list.
Absolutely. You can mix and match bullet types, create custom layouts, and use symbols to categorize information. This allows you to create a personalized system for capturing, organizing, and reflecting on your thoughts in a structured yet adaptable way. It's about having a clear, easily digestible record of your mental exploration.
And you mentioned creative writing exercises for cognitive flexibility. That sounds a bit more abstract. How does that help us think better?
Cognitive flexibility is the ability to switch between different mental tasks, adapt to new situations, and think about multiple concepts simultaneously. Creative writing is a fantastic way to build this skill. Think about exercises like writing from a different perspective, adopting the voice of someone completely unlike yourself, or try rewriting a familiar story with a completely different ending.
So you're forcing your brain to shift gears and consider new possibilities.
Precisely. Another exercise could be stream of consciousness writing, but with a twist. Try to introduce a random, unrelated word every few sentences. This forces you to find connections and pivot your thinking in unexpected ways. You're challenging your brain to be agile, to make leaps, and to find patterns where they might not be obvious. This kind of practice can translate into being a more adaptable and innovative problem solver.
It's like cross-training for your brain. You're not just sticking to one type of mental workout.
That's a perfect analogy, Lisa. We've covered journaling, morning pages, and decision writing in previous episodes, which are foundational. Mind mapping, bullet journaling, and these creative writing exercises build on that foundation. They offer different lenses through which to view and interact with your thoughts.
So, to recap some of the advanced techniques, mind mapping helps us visualize connections and brainstorm broadly. Bullet journaling offers a structured, flexible system for rapid logging and organizing thoughts. And creative writing exercises, like shifting perspectives or introducing randomness, help build cognitive flexibility.
Exactly. The key takeaway is that your writing as thinking practice doesn't have to be monolithic. By incorporating these diverse techniques, you can cater to different types of thinking, from expansive exploration to focused organization to agile problem solving. You're building a more robust and adaptable mental toolkit.
It's about finding what works best for different situations and really tailoring your approach.
Indeed. And as you experiment with these, pay attention to how they make you feel and what kinds of insights they generate. The goal is to make your thinking process more dynamic, more insightful, and ultimately more effective.
This has been incredibly helpful, Alex. It's great to know there are so many ways to push our thinking further with writing.
Absolutely. And there's still more to explore. Next episode, we'll be diving into the exciting world of writing for creativity and innovation.
That sounds like a perfect follow up.
It truly is. For now, experiment with mind mapping, try out some bullet journaling, and let your creative writing loosen up those mental gears. We'll see you next time on Write to Think. Welcome back, everyone, to Write to Think. Let's explore how writing unlocks creativity and innovation.
It feels like we're moving from sturdy construction to building something entirely new and magnificent. We've learned how to clear our minds and organize our thoughts. Now, how do we use that clarity to spark something truly original?
Exactly. Think of your writing practice as a sculptor's studio. You meticulously cleared away the excess stone, revealing the raw material. Now it's time to start shaping it into something innovative. The first way writing fuels creativity is through a technique we've touched on, but we'll now focus on uninhibited brainstorming. When you sit down to brainstorm, don't just jot down a few bullet points. Instead, let your pen race across the page. Don't censor yourself. Write down every single idea, no matter how wild or improbable it seems.
So, it's not about finding the right idea immediately, but about generating many ideas. Like casting a wide net instead of fishing with a single hook?
That's a perfect analogy, Lisa. You're maximizing your chances of catching something spectacular. This kind of stream of consciousness writing, where you're essentially talking to yourself in written form, can uncover connections you wouldn't otherwise see. Sometimes an idea that seems silly at first, when written down and explored, can evolve into something groundbreaking. Think about it. How many great inventions or artistic concepts started with a small, seemingly insignificant spark? Writing helps capture and nurture that spark before it fades.
I can see how that initial deluge of ideas is crucial. But what if those ideas, even when written down, still feel ordinary? How do we move from just listing things to truly innovating?
That's where the next step comes in, actively combining and remixing. Once you have a good quantity of ideas, even if they seem disparate, your writing can become the playground where they meet. Take two or three seemingly unrelated ideas from your brainstorming session and try to force them together. Ask yourself, what if I combined X with Y? What would that look like? Write about this new, hybrid concept. Explore its potential. Does it solve a problem in a new way? Does it create a new experience?
So, we're not just gathering raw materials, but we're actively using our writing to experiment with how those materials can be combined. It's like being a chef, taking different ingredients and trying out new flavor combinations.
Precisely. And this deliberate combination is a core engine of innovation. Many groundbreaking ideas come not from creating something entirely from scratch, but from seeing existing things in a new light or combining them in novel ways. For example, think about the smartphone. It wasn't entirely new technology, but it was the innovative combination of a phone, a portable computer, and an internet browser that revolutionized communication and countless other industries. Your writing can be the place where you forge these new combinations.
That makes a lot of sense. So, we've got the uninhibited brainstorming to generate quantity, and then the active combination to explore novelty. What else can our writing practice offer for creativity?
Another powerful technique is using your writing to explore what-if scenarios. This is a bit like speculative fiction, but applied to any area of your life or work. You write out hypothetical situations and explore their implications. For innovation, this could look like writing a story where a certain technology exists that doesn't today, and then describing how people's lives are different. Or you could write about a world where a certain societal norm is reversed and explore the consequences.
That sounds like a fun way to stretch the imagination. It's like giving yourself permission to play and explore possibilities without any real-world constraints holding you back in that moment.
Absolutely. And this playful exploration is vital for breaking free from established patterns of thinking. When we only think within the confines of what's currently possible or acceptable, innovation stagnates. Writing these what if scenarios allows you to step outside those boundaries and see things from entirely new perspectives. It helps you anticipate future needs, challenges, or opportunities. Remember when we discussed reflection in episode 10? This is a proactive form of reflection, imagining futures and guiding your creative path.
I remember that. So, we're using writing not just to process what has been, but to actively envision what could be. That's a powerful shift.
It is. And to really encourage this, I want to remind everyone of the importance of embracing imperfection in this creative writing phase. Don't aim for perfect prose when you're brainstorming or combining ideas. The goal is to get the ideas out and explore them. You can always refine and polish them later. Think of your first draft of a creative idea as a rough sketch. It captures the essence, but it's not meant to be the final masterpiece.
That's a relief to hear. Sometimes, the fear of not being good enough can be a major barrier to even starting. So, we're talking about uninhibited brainstorming to generate raw ideas, actively combining those ideas to forge new ones, and using what if scenarios to explore future possibilities. It sounds like a comprehensive approach.
It really is. And the beauty is that it's all contained within your writing practice. You don't need fancy tools or a dedicated innovation lab. Your notebook, your journal, your word processor, that's your innovation hub. By consistently engaging in these writing techniques, you're not just thinking about creativity and innovation, you're actively doing it. You're training your mind to look for novel connections, to question the status quo, and to imagine new possibilities.
So, to recap for our listeners, first, we engage in uninhibited brainstorming to generate a high volume of raw ideas, casting that wide net. Then, we actively combine and remix these ideas, forcing unexpected connections to create something new. And finally, we use what if scenarios to explore hypothetical futures and break free from conventional thinking. This is about transforming our writing from a tool for organization and clarity into a powerful engine for generating original thought.
Exactly. You're cultivating an innovative mindset, not just through passive consumption of information, but through active creation and exploration. You're making your writing practice a fertile ground for your most imaginative endeavors. These techniques, when consistently applied, will transform your ability to generate novel solutions and fresh perspectives.
It's exciting to think about the potential unlocked when we intentionally use our writing for this purpose.
It truly is. And that brings us to the end of this episode, where we focused on writing for creativity and innovation. Next episode, the ongoing journey, writing to think for a lifetime. Welcome back to Write to Think. This is the final episode.
It feels a little bittersweet, Alex, ending this journey, but the idea of a lifetime practice is so powerful. So, how do we ensure this isn't just a phase, but a continuous habit?
The key is adaptability. Our lives change. Our needs change. What we need to write about today might be very different from what we need to write about in 5 years. The core principle remains. Writing clarifies thought. But the application of that principle needs to evolve with you.
So, it's not about sticking to one rigid method, but about knowing the core purpose and being flexible in how we achieve it?
Exactly. Think of it like a favorite tool. You might use a hammer to build a birdhouse, and then later use the same hammer to fix a fence. The hammer is still the hammer, but its use is adapted to the task. Your writing practice should be the same. If you're going through a major career change, your writing might focus on exploration, fear, and new skills. If you're in a settled period, it might be about deeper reflection or creative exploration.
That makes so much sense. It's about checking in with yourself regularly and asking, what thoughts do I need to untangle right now?
Precisely. And remember our episode on sustainability? Making it stick is crucial. This involves finding joy in the process, not just focusing on the outcome. Celebrate the small victories, the moments of clarity, the decisions made, the problem solved. These small wins are the fuel that keeps the engine running.
We also discussed building a supportive environment. For some, that might be a physical space. For others, it might be finding a writing companion, like we've been for each other in this series, or a community of like-minded thinkers.
Yes, accountability and shared experience can be incredibly powerful. But ultimately, the commitment has to come from within. It's about recognizing the profound benefit writing offers to your mental landscape. It's not a chore, it's an investment in yourself.
So, to recap our entire journey, we started with the fundamental concept of writing as a thinking tool, not just an artistic one. We learned to create dedicated spaces and establish routines like morning pages and regular journaling.
We then explored how to harness writing for practical purposes, untangling thoughts, processing emotions, making tough decisions, and systematically solving problems. We equipped listeners with strategies to overcome mental blocks and underscored the importance of reflection for growth. We also emphasized making the practice sustainable and enjoyable, looking at advanced techniques to diversify the approach. And finally, we've seen how writing can be a powerful engine for creativity and innovation.
Now, for this final episode, we're looking at the long game. It's about integrating this practice into the fabric of your life, allowing it to adapt and grow with you. It's a lifelong conversation with yourself.
Consider this your roadmap for continuing to write to think for a lifetime. Keep exploring, keep adapting, and most importantly, keep writing. The insights, clarity, and personal growth you'll gain are immeasurable.
It's about consistently showing up for your own mind. Every entry, every reflection, every decision written down contributes to a richer, more understood inner world.
So, as we wrap up this series, I want to thank you all for joining us on this incredible journey. We hope we've inspired you to make writing to think a fundamental part of your life.
Indeed. Remember, the page is always ready for your thoughts, ready to help you navigate whatever life brings.
Thanks for listening to the Write to Think series.